Being a dad is hard. It's high stakes. It takes a toll on our self-worth, mental health, and can be lonely. But why would we ever want to do something so important in isolation? Legacy Makers, a conversation for dads, is quite simply two normal dads having conversations about, you guessed it, being a dad. The highs, the lows, and the learnings along the way. We are four dads. We want to remedy the deficiency we see in community for dads, and we want to ruthlessly encourage dads on their journey to build lasting legacy for the faces they love the most. All right, Kev, so we've talked a lot about community. We've talked the importance of, surrounding ourselves with the right folks. The quote that's said like a whole bunch of ways, I'd love to hear if you've heard it differently, but kind of like, show me your 5 closest friends and I'll show you your future, right? We've heard that?
Yeah. By the way, when you hear that, I always feel like that's advice that you give like a high school student or a college kid.
Mm-hmm.
But it matters to us as much now as it does any other time. I think I shared this with you before, but there's some statistic where if they average out your 5 closest friends and look at the average income, that's typically where you are. Now, obviously, there's exceptions. This doesn't mean like don't be friends with people that aren't making
a bunch of rich friends.
That's what but the principle holds true that like if you look at, we could say that with their bank account, but look at the way your 5 closest friends parent. Look at the way your 5 closest friends are intentional in what they do.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a huge difference. Here's what I would say though. If there is a theme we have hit most consistently in this podcast, it's been community. This idea, the podcast is built to be an encouragement and a community for dads. We're challenging people for community. But a lot of times we're thinking about that, like we need that for encouragement, and we do. But I would challenge us that the community actually affects the output.
Yeah.
Like the community affects how good of a dad we are.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. I think too, the whole 5 closest friends, or if you're the smartest person in the room, find a new room, like all these things are, they're cliche at times, but they really matter. The other thing is, that I think we have to assess is not just who, but the depth of the relationship, right? Like, do you really have 5 friends that, you're not just associating with, but, you could call on and you could get into things, or would be there to help you. I think that, there's data around this. I think they call it the male loneliness epidemic that's happening right now. And there's a whole lot of drivers for that. But the first question I think would be like, do you have 5 friends? Do you have a community? And if so, is it the right community?
Yeah.
But to your point, it's not just a feel good thing. It affects the outcome, and there's real reasons. There's real things that will improve if you have the right people around you. And
let's talk about those. What are the results that are different when you have the right kind of friends?
Well, I think there will be a positive pull and a positive impact on how you behave and the habits that you have, right? That truly.
Which means so you will see your behaviors will be different. Okay,
correct.
Can you see this with your kids? When my kids are around certain other kids, they start to say these things or do these things. They pick this up. I realize, one of our good mutual friends is Garrett.
Yep.
And like when I'm around Garrett, I say certain things more. In our lives as dads, our behavior will be different based on the other friends that we're around.
Totally. I mean, think about this. Imagine, and you can feel that. I can feel this in my life. When I am thriving, I'm around people that are also thriving.
Yeah.
We're talking about being better. That doesn't mean you're like this serious, uncomfortable thing, but there's something about being around people that are going for something and are trying their best, and because you want to be like them.
Yeah.
But you also are kind of forced if you're spending time, like if we're sitting here talking about being dads and getting better, there's conviction there. We're thinking about it. You have someone there to do that with. If you're, closest buddies, all you do is go to the bar, or, you're doing there's a gravitational pull one way or the other. And so I do 100% that circle is going to impact your habits and your behavior.
I'm just curious. Can you think of one particular guy or dad that you hang out with that your behavior is better after you're around them?
I don't know about guy or dad, but I will tell you, you and I both have done work with Chick-fil-A. They were a partner of mine, I hate saying customer, but they were one of our partners, and I had the privilege to lead that relationship. I tell people that I am a better person, a better dad, a husband, person because of the time I spent with that brand and the people. Because collectively, as a group, they're just top notch.
Yeah.
And I'm not sucking up because I don't think anyone's listening, and also they're not my main customer, but I think there's other people like that, certainly. But I felt it. I felt the desire to be better because of that brand and the people.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I think it's just a good litmus test to be thinking about who do I feel like I'm better around. I feel like I love this conversation we get to have. I think it challenges me. This week we had our anniversary, and Mike Lynch, who we've had on the podcast, texted me happy. And I'm like, man, I am more inclined to be an encourager when I hang around Mike Lynch because he's so good at it.
Yeah. I think a good, to your point, litmus test, if you're wondering, do I have the right crew that you're hanging out with? Do you feel like it's life-giving? Like, do you feel better? Do you feel like, hey, because there's a lot of people or meetings or conversations I have that I feel like I need oxygen. Like, right?
Yeah.
Are people running when they see you, running from you or running to you?
Yeah.
When you see your crew, are you want to run to them because you're going to get better? You're like, oh no, like I know this is an anchor.
Okay. So good friends influence our behaviors and our habits. They also influence, in this thing you share with me, our mindset and our attitudes. Like not just the way we show up, but the way we think.
Yeah.
How do you see that show up?
Well, again, I think the outlook, the collective outlook of that group is going to be shared.
Yeah.
Think about getting together with a group, and it's real easy to go below the line and just complain and have, and it's hard to resist that, right? You almost pulled down when you're in a gossipy, frustrated, people are upset, frustrated. There's like community in that negatively.
Yeah.
It's very hard if there's 5 people in a room and 4 of them are just complaining. Life is hard. I'm so busy. How are we ever going to fix this? Like you as the one going to have a really hard time swimming upstream against that.
Yeah. And just, it's less fun or cool to talk about the positive things.
Right.
Like you think about that. I think about it in a work environment. Like if you love your boss, you're not usually like, man, have we talked about how great our boss is lately or how great our workplace is? But anytime there's a frustration, it's easier to talk about. I think we can slip into that. And as dads, by the way, not calling out moms here, but I think moms can typically, you can fall into that trap too of
Absolutely.
like, oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. Yeah, it is freaking hard. It's tough.
Yeah.
But the more that you reinforce that and you're around people with a negative mindset, it affects your own mindset.
Yeah, I'll give you a funny story about that. So when we found out we were having twins, after Brittany and I started to process and actually communicate again, because it was like 72 hours where we didn't speak a word, all of a sudden you realize if you are a parent of multiples, there is a massive amount of community out there. And you just don't know it because, why would you know that? And she found a Facebook group that was like, I think it was, Moms of Twins, doesn't matter the name of it. And it's thousands and thousands of people. And so she's all excited and joins the group. And within like 4 or 5, so we're shocked. We're terrified. She finds some people are reaching out, giving her encouragement, it's gonna be fine. She joins this group, and she's like, it's great. They're, hey, I've got these extra onesies, or we got some things, we'll send things. She's like, this is great. And then she's been in it longer, and she's like, 3 days later, she's like, I had to get out of it. Because then it becomes like my husband's the worst. This is the hardest thing ever. Someone help. She's like, it was like driving anxiety. But to your point, it's gonna one way or the other. It's contagious.
That's so true. Okay, so our friends impact our behaviors, the way we show up, our habits. They also impact our mindset, our attitude. They affect our energy, our motivation.
Absolutely.
Like what we do.
Yeah, I'll call them out. I got two buddies, Thomas and Jacob. They're actually my middle brother's best friends. And so they're little brothers to me. So proud of them. They just finished a half Ironman. And listen, like if you're surrounding yourself with people that are going towards something like that, like I guarantee you they would have said, hey, I probably could have done it, but it would have been hard, way harder, or there's no way I could have done it without doing that and training and being together over the course of the months and finishing that together.
Yeah.
And it's the same on the other side. You want to surround yourself with like-minded people and people that are striving because it's going to help your motivation. Like You and I are talking about being better dads. That's where we're spending our time.
Mm.
You know, you mentioned Garrett. We were together a couple of weeks ago. Garrett's an amazing public speaker. I'm trying to learn from him so I can be a better speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That doesn't mean you have to have these like relationships that are like just, oh, it's just like, go get, like, you can still have fun. You can still cut up. You can still do the things that, but like, you want to be around people that are like going to motivate you to go after it because you need encouragement.
And this is why the friendship thing matters. This is why the community matters. Remember the late, great Zig Ziglar? They said, he would say this, some people say motivation doesn't last. And then he'd say it this way, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. Like, we've got to have a community that is encouraging us daily. Yeah. And if you don't have the community, I think you've got to listen to the podcast, you've got to find a way to have consistent energy and motivation in your life. Okay. So our friendship impacts our behaviors, our mindset, our motivation. This is probably the one we've hit the most frequently, but this idea of support or encouragement.
Yeah. And again, this is not someone give me a hug every day. Like, it doesn't have to be an overly emotional thing, but you got to have it for when you need it.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to start to build that when you need it, it's a problem.
Yeah.
We don't talk a lot about faith and spirituality on this podcast, and that's fine. But obviously our faith is important to both of us. When I was in my hardest times, I was so thankful that I had a foundation in my faith, but also a prayer life that was really, really strong. And so I'll often tell people, you need to pray like you're in crisis when you're not, because when you get there, you're going to need it. And it's the same with this. You need a close group of community to do all the things we've talked about already. But in those moments of life, when you are at your worst, you have a foundation that you can tap into to help bring you out of that. It's so important.
I think that's key. When I hear the word encouragement, I immediately associate it with verbal, like they say something or they text you. But I do think this friendship thing matters because sometimes it's just the way they model it. Mm-hmm. This podcast and the program at North Star Church was really born out of this group that you started in your basement that now meets at 6 a.m. at a coffee shop. Mm-hmm. And when I show up to that, those other dads just encourage me, even just by the fact that they're there, like that they're thinking about it in the morning. So I just want to say this for the guys that would never be the outwardly verbal encouraging ones. Sometimes you encourage people just with your presence.
I think that's a great one.
All right. Last one. When you have the right friends, they help with your vision or your ambition.
Yeah. And
talk about that being from like ambition to be a good dad, but also just ambition to like get after it and do something with your life.
Yeah, I think that's right. Look, life is not a dress rehearsal. And I think we can get so caught up in the day-to-day days, especially with little ones. Days feel so long. And sometimes you're just trying to get to the end of the day and you stack a bunch of that up. And next thing you know, 12 months has gone by. And I think having the right group around you is good perspective and reminder that this is not a dress rehearsal and that we need to have ambition, not ambition in a way to win and collect and, raise status, but just ambition to make meaningful time here. We don't get a second shot at this. You don't get a second shot. And again, you don't want to feel guilt, but the reality is you just don't get a second shot at the opportunity to raise kids and build legacy. And I think if you're surrounded with the right people, you have reminders around you when you do get those lulls or you are tired. It's like, look, no, they're like you said, you watch them, you want to chase them. You want to be chasing after people that are going after the thing to help you stay, to have the right ambition towards that.
Okay, this can actually be a really discouraging topic and podcast. If you're sitting here and you're listening to it and you feel isolated, you don't feel like you have those friends, you don't have it. Yeah, I remember we quoted Zig Ziglar once, but he used to say, if you go out looking for a friend, you'll find them very scarce. But if you go out to be a friend, you'll find them everywhere. I want to give you a shout out. I think is the area you've done a good job is you've initiated a conversation that starts to create a community about that. What do you do for somebody who's feeling like, I don't have that around me? Like you talked about earlier, the negative people, what if that's who I feel like I'm completely surrounded by?
Well, Well, I can totally understand how that's discouraging. I think you gotta kind of get out of the victim, I don't have this thing. First of all, you have to realize it takes time. So you're going to have to take steps forward to build that. I think you want to put yourself in situations with people, like, so whether that's church, whether that's some sort of volunteer activity, whether that, if you go take a step to go find and build that, you should probably go to places that there's probably going to be people that you'd want to build that with. The other thing I would say, back to your point about being a good friend, when I'm stressed out about stuff, one of the tactics I learned from a good buddy that his name's Ryan Dyer here in the community is I'll pick up the phone and text somebody, see how they're doing. Hey, I'm thinking about you. Oftentimes, if, like you said, if you extend that, then that energy is going to come back. But again, first of all, you can't put pressure on it. You just got to go try. You got to surround yourself in the right spots.
Okay. I want to have us wrap by thinking about this.
Okay.
We talked about, you show the average of your 5 friends and that'll show you your future and your income and all that. There is a tendency to hear that and be like, man, I'm cutting all these people. Man, this guy sucks. I'm cutting him out of my life. That's not the answer fully. It is not, but it is about the proportion of the time you're spending.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean you shouldn't be helping the single dad that's just gone through a divorce that's struggling. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be, but you have got to make sure you're spending the majority of your time with people that are going to lift you up and help you to be the best you can be, so that you are then better equipped to help the other folks.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's not an elitist thing. And we're not saying this, it's an elitist, principle. One of the things as you said that hit my mind is I've often tried to remember and remind myself that in life, you want really 3 types of relationships. You want people, quote unquote, behind you, right? That could be going through a hard time, or maybe that they're a little bit behind you in a stage of life that you're pulling along, and you're somebody that they look to and you can help them maybe avoid some of the things that you slipped up on. You want people ahead of you that you're doing that to, that you look up to, and they've done things really, really well and they're pouring into you. But this conversation, most importantly, you want a good group of folks shoulder to shoulder that at the same stage, learning things together, have the opportunity to be fun and have a great time, but also have an opportunity to encourage you because you're in it together. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. There's that biblical principle that iron sharpens iron. And I think when we are around those kind of people, that we're going to get better. So
I agree.
I think it's really good. My encouragement for anybody who's listening, dad, mom, soon to be parent, that you intentionally invest in those friendships. It may feel like all your energy should go towards your kids, but if you don't have those relationships, it's going to affect your ability to be the dad that you want to be.
Love it. All right.
There we go.
Thanks for listening to Legacy Makers with Kevin Scott and Eric Blumenthal. Make sure you download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.